Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing my favorite chicken pot pie recipe with you guys. This is something that my mom used to make us all the time growing up, especially when it was back to school time, and I still think it is the perfect recipe for this time of year. So if you're interested in learning how to make this yourself at home, keep watching. The ingredients in this recipe are all very simple, and usually I always have these things somewhere around in my pantry, so this is a really good last minute dinner idea. All you're going to need is some salt and pepper, chicken, some flour, some peas, onions, celery, garlic, carrots, some butter, half and half, and some chicken stock for the filling. And I'm just taking a large cast iron pan and pouring in some olive oil, and then adding my onions, carrots, and celery, and making sure that those kind of soften up a little bit. And then I like to make sure I season every layer with just plain kosher salt and black pepper. And then you're just going to let those vegetables cook down and soften up before you add the garlic. Don't add the garlic too soon, otherwise it can tend to burn. But cook these veggies down until they're pretty soft and translucent. Next, I'm going to add my butter to start making my roux, and I'm just going to stir all the butter in and make sure that it is all nice and melted. Once the butter is thoroughly melted, I'm going to add my flour, make sure that it is all incorporated, and then allow this to cook for a couple of minutes just to kind of get that raw flour taste out of there. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my chicken broth as well as my half and half. Once that is all combined, I'm going to add my chicken. These were just 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I had pre-boiled and then diced, and I'm adding that in now as well as the frozen peas. And then I'm just going to allow this mixture to simmer gently on the stove, stirring it every so often for about a half an hour. I love this simple crust. It's just 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt with 1 teaspoon of sugar, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and then I went ahead and diced up and froze 1.5 sticks of butter, and I have about 1/2 cup of ice water here as well. I'm going to start by putting all of my flour, sugar, and salt into my food processor, and then adding the frozen little cubes of butter. You want to make sure that everything is nice and cold so it makes a really flaky, delicious crust. Now, using my food processor, I'm just going to pulse this all together, adding a few tablespoons of ice water at a time until the mixture just comes together, but it is still kind of crumbly. You don't want this to be too liquidy, otherwise it will be really hard to roll out. Once my dough is the consistency that I want it to be, I'm just going to turn it out onto a big sheet of parchment paper and then use my hands to just kind of press this as gently as possible into a disc, and then I'm going to wrap it on up and put it in the fridge for at least a half an hour. You can do this overnight if you want to, and you can also pre-make these crusts and freeze them. They freeze really well. And once a half an hour has gone by, I'm just going to start to roll this out. Now, I won't use all of this crust today, so I'm going to roll it out so I can cut it in half, and then I will freeze the other half for later.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
So I'm just going to cut a relatively even square out of my dough, and then use my little knife and very gently perforate the dough so I can tear these strips apart. And then making a lattice pie crust is actually really easy. You just kind of want to weave the pieces in and out, but if you watch it, it's honestly very easy to do, and it just makes a really beautiful presentation. I ended up using about half of my mixture for this and freezing the rest of it because I decided to make a smaller chicken pot pie. But by all means, if you want to just do a regular crust without having to worry about making it nice and pretty, you can do that as well, or whatever kind of pie shape that you like. And then I like to take the little extra pieces and just bake them separately on the sheet as kind of little pie crust crackers. And then I will take an egg wash, which is just an egg kind of beaten up with a little bit of water, and brush that on the top of this before I bake it. This is just going to help give it a really nice crust. And then I'm going to bake this at 425 for about 35 minutes, and it comes out golden and bubbly and beautiful. I hope that you guys enjoy this recipe. It's perfect for back to school, and I hope your families love it too. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.